Are you ready to dive into the world of project management? Hit that subscribe button as we explore how to stay relevant in the agile workforce. Today, I wanted to talk about tailoring the right development approach for a customer. I'm going to be guiding you through a series of questions that's going to help you determine the most suitable development approach for your customers' projects. Selecting the right approach is crucial and ensures project success. The first thing that you're going to want to do is sit down with the customer and ask them for a brief overview of the project, asking for information about their goals, objectives, and desired outcomes. Inquire about the project's scope, timelines, and budget constraints. Discuss any specific requirements that revolve around regulations. Secondly, you're going to want to assess the project's characteristics. You're going to ask questions to gauge the level of uncertainty and complexity associated with the requirements. Determine if the requirements are well-defined and stable, or if they're going to evolve throughout the project. Discuss the customer's comfort level and their ability to adapt to unexpected events. Thirdly, you're going to want to explore and define the development approaches. This includes predictive, adaptive, and also hybrid. In predictive, you're going to want to highlight this is perfect for projects with defined requirements, a stable scope. You're going to also want to define adaptive projects as flexible, iterative in nature, making it ideal for projects that have uncertainty or evolving requirements. And within the hybrid approach, you're going to want to define that as it's going to have both elements of predictive and adaptive project development, offering a tailored solution to projects with a varying degree of uncertainty. Based off of the customer's responses, you're going to recommend the most appropriate development approach. You're going to also explain the rationale behind the recommendation, highlighting how it aligns to the project's characteristics and the customer's project preferences. You're going to discuss the project's benefits and also the potential drawbacks of the chosen approach. You're going to summarize the key points discussed. You're also going to reiterate the recommended development approach, offer additional information to the customer, answering further questions that they have, and also thank them and express that you have confidence in their project success. Remember, the customer is looking for you to help guide the project development lifecycle. And by asking these questions, you can help them feel and take part in defining how they're going to accomplish this goal. Did you know that over 70% of projects fail because red flags were not identified early enough on in the project? We're going to dive into overlooked red flags that can cause project trouble to your team. Every project manager knows that a strong, cohesive team is essential for success. But what happens when something goes wrong? Recognizing early signs, those subtle red flags, can be the difference between whether a project thrives or crashes and burns. Projects face numerous challenges such as tight deadlines, limited resources, conflicting personalities, but ignoring these red flags that crop up along the way can lead to disaster. These warning signs can fester, leading to missed deadlines, budget overruns, and even complete project failure. Let's explore 5 critical red flags that demand your attention. Number 1, missed deadlines. Consistently failing to meet deadlines is a major red flag. It can indicate poor time management, unrealistic expectations, or even a lack of commitment from team members. Number 2, communication breakdowns. When communication breaks down, misunderstandings and conflict arises. This can lead to duplicated efforts, missed opportunities, and general sense of frustration with the team. Quality compromises. If the quality of work starts to decline, it's time to take notice. This can be a sign of an overworked team, inadequate resources, or a lack of a clear quality standard. Scope creep. The uncontrolled expansion of the project scope is a silent killer. This can lead to missed deadlines, budget overruns, and leaving the project team overwhelmed and demoralized. Disengage stakeholders. When stakeholders lose interest or fail to provide support, the project can drift off course. Their lack of involvement or a signal of misaligned expectations can lead to frustration and lack of confidence in the entire team. Imagine being on a project where all 5 of these red flags are present. The team is missing deadlines. Communication is erratic. The project team is slipping with deliverables. Scope keeps expanding and stakeholders cannot be found. This is a recipe for disaster. Recognizing these red flags early on is crucial to project success. Addressing these proactively can prevent you from escalating into a major problem. Remember, a strong team is foundational to successful projects. Have you ever encountered any of these red flags in your projects? Share your experiences in the comments below, and don't forget to check back for more videos on project management tips. Did you know that over 70% of projects fail because of office politics? That's right. It's not just because of technical skills, which people commonly think fail and lead to failure in projects. Office politics derail projects. It's the unspoken rules, power dynamics, and alliances. As a project manager, you're not just managing tasks and timelines, you're navigating a complex web of relationships. Let's face it, ignoring office politics can lead to a project's downfall. Let's think of the challenges you've faced. First, miscommunication. Have you ever had a key project stakeholder misunderstand the project's goals because of side conversations or hidden agendas? I know I have. What about power struggles? Have you ever dealt with team members vying for influence or recognition, potentially derailing progress? I know I have. What about conflicting priorities? Have you ever dealt with an individual or individuals that are juggling different demands from different departments or personalities, all pulling the project into different directions? I know I have. These are all the realities of office politics, and it can seriously impact your project's success. So how do you navigate this minefield? I'm going to tell you some strategies. Number 1, building alliances. This is not just in Survivor or other shows like Big Brother. Identify key influencers and decision makers. Foster those relationships. You're going to need them. Also, develop effective communication. Be transparent with these individuals, clear and concise in your messaging. Address issues directly and diplomatically. Also, understand organizational dynamics. Learn the unwritten rules, power structures, and individual motivations within the organization. Mastering office politics isn't just about survival, it's about thriving. Whenever you're understanding the dynamics in play, you can anticipate roadblocks before they derail your project. Influence the decisions in your project's favor, foster a proactive and collaborative team environment, and also remember, office politics are a reality. By building alliances, communicating effectively, and understanding your organization's dynamics, not only can you overcome the challenges, but you also can create more successful, harmonious project environments. Have you ever experienced office politics in your projects? I saw an interesting statistic the other day. Over 80% of projects fail because of stakeholder engagement issues. A stakeholder is any individual that can be impacted by a decision of the project. This is why stakeholder engagement is so critical to project management in every aspect. You have to start first with identifying who the stakeholders are. This happens early on in the project. You have to identify who potentially can be impacted. Identifying this has to start first. You cannot start this midway through the project. If you're starting this midway through the project, you've already blown through a whole period of time where you could have received feedback. You have to start understanding who can potentially be impacted. And in agile projects, this is even more important, because you need as many individuals that can provide that feedback early on to drive how those deliverables are being shaped. In predictive projects as well, you want to identify who are key influencers and who are providing feedback on these deliverables, who are potentially providing feedback on these toll gate or these phase gate reviews. You want to identify who these secondary individuals or secondary stakeholders potentially could be. You want to identify who all the potential end users are. You want to interview these individuals. You want to find out how and what level of influence they have. You do not want to wait till the end. I see a lot of individuals. Think of this right now. Picture this. Imagine you were just getting your house painted, a project you were getting your house painted, and you hired a painting company. And you told them, hey, I wanted every room in the house painted. And you told them I wanted it cream white. And he even told them, here's the vendor that I want to use for purchasing the paint. You gave them all the contact information and you thought everything was great, or you assumed. And that contracting organization, instead of communicating with you, the stakeholder, going forward and confirming everything, let's just throw another curveball into that scenario. They go to that vendor that you recommended and they found out that it's out of stock and there's a shortage. It's going to take a significant period of time and there's no other local vendors that can provide that paint. Instead of communicating with that stakeholder and letting them know about the issue, that organization just goes and decides to get something similar and assumes that stakeholder is going to be fine. They're not going to notice. They go and paint the whole entire house. And then all of a sudden, the stakeholder comes in and says, and immediately identifies and knows, this is not the color I selected. I have a sample right here. And they put the sample right up next to that cream color and they see, this is not it. That's not effective communication. That's not the effective stakeholder engagement. And it really is establishing that relationship, understanding that, hey, let me identify that this is a potential issue. Let me let this stakeholder know. We're going to either have to find another recourse or resolution in order to solve this, or potentially we might have to delay this project from starting. But now there's more rework that has to get done. Who's going to have to pay for that? Is it going to be the homeowner that was expecting that service, or is it going to be that vendor that was providing that service? The vendor was at fault because they didn't involve the stakeholder in that communication. I think we know it's that vendor's, it's the vendor. All they had to do was engage the stakeholder and let them know about that news, that information that was critical. Instead, they wanted to solve it on themselves. The individual that made that decision probably ruined their reputation unless they could prove that they are reliable and they are going to solve that in a prompt and swift manner. That's an example of the reason why stakeholder engagement is important. Like I said, 80% of projects fail according to Harvard Business Review. And that's an overwhelming amount. Start first by identifying the stakeholders. Make sure that you also establish what is the appropriate level of communication that you want to have with those individuals. Identify any risk that those stakeholders feel potentially can impact the project. You want to start a lot of this early on. Obviously, things can change as it goes through the project and as you go through the phases of the project. But you want to start first. One of the first things you want to do once the project has been initiated is conduct that stakeholder engagement and also analysis, identification. You want to start there, 80%. Don't be part of that. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more project management content. See you on the next one.